Have you ever witnessed a family hand their own daughter official disownment papers as a birthday gift while filming her reaction for entertainment? That's exactly what happened to me on my 31st birthday. While other families gift jewelry or vacations, mine orchestrated a public humiliation. My sister held up her phone, recording the historic moment as I opened the envelope. My mother smiled with satisfaction as she announced, "From all of us." Hello, I'm Gianna Dixon, 31 years old. Today, I want to share the story of the most dramatic reversal of my life, when my family disowned me thinking I was just a failed waitress, not knowing I was about to step onto a stage as director of a billion-dollar hotel corporation. What they didn't realize was that their cruelty came at the perfect time. I had already signed a contract that would change everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this all really began. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. Growing up in the Dixon family meant living in the shadow of success. My father, Robert Dixon, served as CFO of Thames Corporation, overseeing $500 million in annual revenue. My mother, Eleanor, ran the Eleanor Foundation with a $50 million budget, hosting galas that made the society pages. My sister Victoria, 3 years older, had just closed a $200 million acquisition as a senior associate at Baker & Associates. And then there was me, a hostess at the Meridian, Chicago's 2 Michelin-star restaurant, earning $65,000 a year. Last Thanksgiving, the comparisons started before the turkey was carved. "Gianna's still serving tables?" my mother asked, her voice dripping with disappointment. She said it like I was confessing to a crime. At your age, I was already on 3 boards. My father wouldn't even look at me. When his business partner asked about his daughters, he gestured only to Victoria. "This is Victoria, our lawyer. She handles all our complex negotiations." I stood right there, invisible. Victoria had recently updated her LinkedIn, proud to be following in my parents' footsteps in business leadership. No mention of a sister. It was like I'd been digitally erased from the family narrative. But David Brennan, the Meridian's general manager, saw something they didn't. After I'd handled a crisis with Japanese executives the previous month, he pulled me aside. "Gianna, the way you managed the Yamamoto situation yesterday was exceptional. You didn't just save the evening, you turned it into a $2 million catering contract." My family's response when I mentioned it at dinner? "Lucky someone else was there to clean up the mess for you." They had no idea who had been watching that night. The exclusion started small but grew more deliberate. January's charity gala, my mother's signature event, arrived without my invitation. "It wouldn't be appropriate, darling," she explained. "Our donors expect a certain caliber of attendee." The sting deepened when I saw Victoria's Instagram stories from the event. There she was, champagne in hand, standing where I should have been, wearing the smile of someone who belonged. My father's quarterly investor dinners became another forbidden territory. I'd grown up at those dinners, speaking with CEOs since I was 12. Now? "This is Victoria. She handles our legal affairs," he'd say, while I served appetizers in my restaurant uniform, having rushed over after my shift to help. Even family photos became strategic. The Dixon family Christmas card featured 3 people. The photographer had been instructed to shoot just the immediate family. I learned about it when our cousin texted, asking if I was okay. "You're being too sensitive," Victoria said when I confronted her. "It's just business networking. What would you contribute? Wine recommendations?" But David Brennan noticed everything. "Your ability to read people is extraordinary," he told me after watching me handle a table of Fortune 500 executives. "That Japanese delegation specifically requested you serve their private dinner next week." "It's just hospitality," I replied. "No," David corrected. "It's a gift. The right people will recognize it." That evening, as I cleared tables and my family attended another event I wasn't invited to, an email arrived that would change everything. The sender, mwhitmore@grandplazahotels.com. Subject line: regarding your exceptional service. My hands trembled as I opened it in the restaurant's break room. What my family refused to see, the numbers couldn't hide. I spoke 4 languages fluently: English, Japanese, French, and Arabic. My hospitality management degree from Northwestern came with a 3.9 GPA and a thesis on cultural intelligence in luxury service. But to them, I was just pouring water and taking orders. The Yamamoto incident should have opened their eyes. 8 months ago, CEO Yamamoto of Yamamoto Corporation arrived for his reservation only to find his table given away due to a system error. He was furious, ready to leave and take his entire executive team with him. The maitre d' panicked. I approached, bowed properly, and apologized in perfect Japanese. Not textbook Japanese, the kind that showed I understood the depth of our failure. I offered him our private dining room, personally curated a menu that reflected his hometown specialties, and spent 3 hours ensuring every detail exceeded expectations. By the evening's end, Yamamoto-san didn't just forgive us. He signed a $2 million catering contract for his company's international conferences. He handed me his business card with both hands, a sign of deep respect. "Your daughter saved us," David told my mother when she came for lunch the next week. "She turned a disaster into our biggest corporate account." My mother's response? Well, thankfully someone with actual authority was there to close the deal. But someone else had been watching that night. Marcus Whitmore, CEO of Grand Plaza Hotels, had been dining at the adjacent table. He saw everything: my composure, my cultural fluency, my ability to transform crisis into opportunity. His email was brief. "Ms. Dixon, I believe your talents are being wasted. Would you consider a conversation about your future?" Marcus Whitmore. My family thought I was nobody. Marcus Whitmore thought otherwise. The cost of staying silent was mounting in ways I couldn't ignore anymore. My doctor's face was serious during my checkup. "Your cortisol levels are dangerously high, Gianna. These panic attacks, the insomnia, your body is screaming for change. This kind of sustained stress is aging you from the inside." 3 anxiety medications sat in my medicine cabinet. I'd started getting migraines during family dinners. My hands would shake when my phone showed mom calling. "You're 31, my therapist reminded me gently. "When did you last make a decision without considering your family's reaction?" I couldn't answer. Even my dating life was a casualty. James, the investment banker I'd been seeing, ended things after meeting my family. "They spent the entire dinner explaining why you weren't good enough for me," he said. "And you just sat there." My bank account told another story of sacrifice. $3,000 donated to Mother's Foundation in December, $5,000 in November for her special project. "Family supports family," she'd say, though the support only flowed one direction. My savings had dwindled to nothing while funding their image. The breaking point came when I discovered the truth about my donations. At a foundation board meeting I wasn't invited to, my mother announced, "I personally contributed $50,000 this quarter." My money, presented as hers. "You need boundaries," my doctor insisted, reviewing my test results. "This isn't sustainable. Your body won't tolerate this much longer." But how do you set boundaries with people who don't believe you deserve them, who see your existence as an extension of their reputation? The answer was waiting in my inbox. Marcus Whitmore had sent a follow-up. "Ms. Dixon, I don't make offers twice. Shall we discuss your worth?" The pressure intensified like a pot about to boil over. My mother's text arrived on a Tuesday. "Need you to serve at the foundation gala. Wear your restaurant uniform. Unpaid, of course. It's for charity." When I hesitated, she added, "It's the least you can do, considering we're still claiming you as a dependent for tax purposes." My father's words cut deeper during our monthly lunch. 31 years old, Gianna. When will you finally do something that makes us proud? Victoria had made partner by your age. "I'm proud of my work," I said quietly. "Serving appetizers?" He signaled for the check. "That's not a career, It's what college students do for beer money. Victoria's cruelty came wrapped in fake concern. She forwarded me a job posting. Executive assistant wanted, must be proficient in coffee preparation and calendar management. This seems more your speed. The CEO is single too. The attachment included a note. I could put in a word. It's time you faced reality about your limitations. My limitations? I'd just helped the Meridian secure a James Beard nomination through my customer service scores. But they'd never know because they'd never ask. The family's patience is wearing thin, my mother warned during what would be our last phone call. Either step up or step aside. We can't keep making excuses for you at social events. Step aside from what? My own life? Marcus Whitmore's email had been sitting in my inbox for 3 days. That night, after crying in my car after another family dinner, where I was treated like the help, I finally typed my response. Mr. Whitmore, I'm ready to discuss my value. When can we meet? His reply came within minutes. If you've ever felt undervalued by the people who should support you most, type I relate in the comments below. The next part of this story will show you that sometimes the people closest to us are the most blind to our true potential. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the dramatic climax of this story. February 28, 2024, 7 p.m. at Chateau Lumiere. My 31st birthday dinner, supposedly a celebration. My mother had insisted on the venue, Chicago's most exclusive French restaurant, where a single meal cost more than I made in a week. We've reserved the private room, she announced, her voice unusually bright. Extended family will be there. 15 people who love you. The guest list was strategic. Aunt Patricia, Uncle Thomas, cousins from the North Shore, all witnesses to whatever they had planned. Victoria arrived early, setting up what she claimed was a camera for family memories. You'll want to remember this birthday, she said, adjusting the angle to capture my seat perfectly. My mother ordered the crystal champagne, $800 a bottle. Nothing but the best for such a special occasion, she announced, loud enough for neighboring tables to hear. She raised her glass for a toast. To Gianna's future. May it finally begin. The words felt like a threat disguised as a blessing. My father kept checking his watch, as if timing something. Victoria couldn't stop smiling, her phone strategically placed to capture everything. The cousins whispered among themselves, clearly in on whatever was coming. We have something special for you tonight, my mother said, her smile sharp as the knife beside her plate. What they didn't know was that I'd already signed my contract with Grand Plaza on January 10th. My start date, March 1st, was less than 36 hours away. My resignation letter to the Meridian was already written, waiting in my drafts. Before we eat, my father announced, we have your gift. The room fell silent. Victoria hit record. The verbal assault began before the appetizers arrived, each family member taking their turn like they'd rehearsed it. 31 years, my mother started, her voice carrying across the private room. 31 years, and you still have nothing to show for it. We gave you every opportunity, my father added, not meeting my eyes. Private schools, college tuition, connections, all wasted. Victoria leaned forward, camera still rolling. You embarrass us, Gianna. Every time we have to explain what our sister does for a living. Still serving tables? Aunt Patricia chimed in, her diamonds catching the light. Oh dear, at your age? Such a shame, Uncle Thomas agreed. Your cousins are all directors, VPs, and you're, what's the term, a hostess? Each word was precisely aimed, designed for maximum damage. The waitstaff looked uncomfortable, recognizing one of their own being torn apart by her own family. I remained silent, cutting my foie gras into perfect, even pieces. My unusual calm seemed to unsettle them. Nothing to say? My mother pressed. No defense? No promises to do better? I'm listening, I said simply. Please continue. My composure threw them off script. Victoria zoomed in on my face, searching for tears that wouldn't come. We've been patient, my father said, recovering, but patience has limits. So does family obligation, my mother added, reaching for her purse. Which brings us to your gift. The gold envelope appeared like a verdict. The room held its breath. Victoria steadied her phone, not wanting to miss a second of my humiliation. Happy birthday, Gianna, my mother said, sliding it across the table. From all of us. The envelope felt heavier than paper should. Inside, on Dixon family letterhead, the same letterhead my father used for million-dollar deals, was the cruelest birthday gift imaginable. We, the Dixon family, hereby formally disown Gianna Marie Dixon, effective immediately. She is no longer recognized as a member of this family, entitled to no support, inheritance, or association with the Dixon name in any professional capacity. 3 signatures at the bottom. Robert Dixon, Eleanor Dixon, Victoria Dixon. The date, February 28, 2024. My birthday. Victoria's camera captured everything. The slight tremor in my hands, the way I read it twice, the slow fold as I placed it back in the envelope. The room was silent except for the soft jazz playing in the background, a surreal soundtrack to my disinheritance. Well? My mother prompted, expecting tears, begging, a scene worthy of Victoria's recording. I slipped the envelope into my purse with the same care I'd use for a contract. Thank you, I said, my voice steady as granite. This makes everything easier. The confusion on their faces was almost worth the pain. Easier, my father sputtered. You're giving me exactly what I need. I stood, placing my napkin beside my untouched champagne. Written proof that I owe you nothing. Where are you going? My mother demanded. The show isn't over. I looked at each of them. These people who shared my blood but never saw my worth. Victoria's camera was still rolling, capturing their bewilderment instead of my breakdown. My show starts tomorrow, I said, gathering my coat. And you're not invited. The last thing I heard was my mother's sharp intake of breath as I walked out, leaving them with their $800 champagne and their own confusion. 8 months earlier, everything had changed in a single evening. The Yamamoto crisis had unfolded in full view of the restaurant's most prestigious guests, including a quiet man dining alone at table 12. Marcus Whitmore had watched me navigate the disaster with CEO Yamamoto. He observed as I switched seamlessly between English and Japanese, noticed how I read the executive's body language, saw me transform his fury into satisfaction. While others saw a hostess managing a seating error, Marcus saw something else entirely. You understood that man's real concern wasn't the table, Marcus would tell me later. It was respect, loss of face. You gave him back his dignity while making him feel like royalty. That's not service, that's art. After Yamamoto-san left, Marcus approached David Brennan. The young woman who handled that situation. Tell me about her. David's praise was effusive. Gianna Dixon, our best, speaks 4 languages, never rattles, remembers every guest's preference. She's wasted as a hostess, but she won't leave. Family obligations, I think. Marcus left his business card with David. Give this to her. Tell her I'd like to discuss her future. The email exchange that followed was careful, professional. Marcus didn't promise anything initially, just asked questions. What did I see as the future of luxury hospitality? How would I design a guest experience program for international clients? What was holding me back from advancement? Family expectations, I'd written honestly. They don't understand this industry. Perhaps, Marcus replied, you need a new family, a professional one that recognizes talent when they see it. The Grand Plaza Hotel's logo in his signature line represented 32 properties worldwide, $3 billion in annual revenue, and a CEO who'd just decided I was worth recruiting. The interview process with Grand Plaza was unlike anything my family would have recognized as legitimate business. 5 rounds over 3 months, all conducted with absolute secrecy at Marcus's insistence. I want to evaluate you without interference, he'd said. No family connections, no assumptions, just your capabilities. The first interview was at the Grand Plaza's flagship property. I'd walked through the marble lobby in my best suit, the one my family mocked as trying too hard, and took the executive elevator to the 47th floor. The second round involved a case study. Design a complete guest experience program for Middle Eastern royalty visiting Chicago. I spent 70 hours researching, creating a 40-page proposal that addressed everything from prayer room arrangements to dietary requirements that went beyond simple halal compliance. "This is exceptional," the board member reviewing it said. "You've thought of details our current team missed." Round 3 was with Marcus himself. "Tell me," he said, "what would you do if you had unlimited resources and no one telling you that you weren't enough?" "I'd revolutionize how luxury hospitality treats cultural intelligence," I answered. "Not as an add-on, but as the foundation." The fourth round included a practical test: handle a staged crisis with actors playing difficult international guests. I resolved it in 12 minutes. The actors broke character to applaud. The final round was the offer itself. January 10th, 2024, 3 p.m. Marcus pushed the contract across his desk. Director of Guest Experience, $285,000 base, $500,000 in equity vesting over 4 years, full benefits, and a penthouse apartment in our flagship property. My hand didn't shake as I signed my name. "Welcome to your real family, Gianna," Marcus said. Start date, March 1st. After walking out of my birthday disaster, my family's cruelty escalated into a full campaign. My mother's first text arrived within minutes. "You ungrateful brat, we gave you everything." My father's voicemail was worse. 31 years of investment wasted. You're dead to us, Gianna. Dead. Victoria, ever the documentarian, had already posted the video to our family WhatsApp group with the caption, "The moment Gianna finally got what she deserved, the extended family piled on immediately." "About time," wrote cousin Jennifer. "Maybe now she'll grow up." "Pathetic reaction," Uncle Thomas added. "Couldn't even cry properly." I sat in my car outside Chateau Lumiere, reading each message without responding. Then I drove to the Meridian, where Jean-Pierre, the restaurant manager who'd known me for 5 years, took one look at my face and poured me a glass of wine. "Rough night, Gianna?" "My family just disowned me," I said simply. "On my birthday." His eyes widened. "Mon Dieu, I'm so sorry." "Don't be." I raised the glass. "It's the best gift they've ever given me." My phone buzzed. Another family text. "Don't bother coming to Easter or Christmas or any family event ever again." Perfect. I screenshotted everything, evidence for later, though they didn't know it yet. David Brennan appeared from his office. "Gianna, I just got off the phone with Grand Plaza HR. They called for your reference verification." He beamed. "I gave you the highest recommendation of my career. Congratulations on the director position." Jean-Pierre nearly dropped his tray. "Director? Gianna, that's incredible." My phone kept buzzing with family hatred. Tomorrow, I'd start my new life. Tonight, I'd toast to the end of the old one. I stood up from my birthday table with the same poise I used when serving heads of state at the Meridian. My family expected devastation. Instead, they got dignity. "Thank you all for this clarity," I said, pulling on my coat with deliberate calm. "I wish you the best in your future endeavors." The corporate speak, their language, made my mother's face flush. "Future endeavors? We're your family." "Were," I corrected. "According to this document, that ended at 7:43 p.m. tonight." Victoria's camera was still rolling, catching their stunned expressions instead of my tears. "You can't just leave." "Watch me." I picked up my purse, the disownment letter safely inside. "This show is over, but mine starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. "What show?" my father demanded, half rising from his chair. "What are you talking about?" "You'll find out soon enough." I looked directly at Victoria's camera. "Make sure you save that footage. You'll want to remember this moment for different reasons than you think." My mother's voice cracked with rage. "If you walk out that door, Gianna Marie Dixon, you're finished. You'll have nothing." I already have everything I need. I paused at the private room's entrance. Oh, and Mother, you might want to prepare for the March 15th gala differently this year. The program has some surprises. The last thing I heard as I walked through the restaurant was Uncle Thomas saying, "What the hell just happened?" In the parking lot, my phone vibrated. David Brennan. Grand Plaza just called to verify your start date. I told them you're the best hire they'll ever make. Also, Marcus Whitmore himself called, said to tell you welcome to the family that matters. Tomorrow couldn't come fast enough. March 1st, 2024. 9 a.m. I walked into Grand Plaza's headquarters wearing a new suit that cost more than my family thought I deserved to own. The security guard smiled as he handed me my executive badge, clearance level 9, access to all floors, including the C-suite. Welcome, Director Dixon. Mr. Whitmore is expecting you. Director Dixon, not Robert's disappointing daughter or Victoria's embarrassment of a sister, just Director Dixon. My office was on the 47th floor, corner unit, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Chicago's skyline. A nameplate already sat on the desk. Gianna Dixon, Director of Guest Experience. Marcus entered with a warm smile. How does it feel? Like coming home, I admitted. Your team is waiting in Conference Room A, 25 of the industry's best, hand-picked from our properties worldwide. Your budget is $5 million annually. Your first assignment? He handed me a folder. Prepare the keynote speech for our Excellence in Hospitality Awards Gala, March 15th. My stomach flipped. The gala at the Grand Plaza Ballroom? The very one. 500 guests, CEOs, investors, media. We're announcing your appointment there. He paused. I believe your mother is on the organizing committee? Eleanor Dixon, co-chair of the Gala Planning Committee for 3 years running. She'd be there, front and center, expecting another night of networking and social climbing. She is, I confirmed. Excellent. I want you to speak about authentic service, about seeing people's true worth regardless of titles. Marcus's eyes twinkled. Think you can handle that? My phone buzzed, my mother calling. I declined it. I can handle anything now, I said. My assistant knocked. Director Dixon, your mother's office called 3 times. Should I put her through? No, I said firmly. I'm in meetings all day, all month actually. Are you ready to witness what happens when the people who discarded you have to watch your success unfold? Type yes in the comments. The next part is the moment we've all been waiting for. When karma finally comes full circle. Remember to hit that subscribe button to support the channel. March 15th, 7 p.m. The Grand Plaza Ballroom glittered with 500 of hospitality's most influential figures. CEOs from major chains, investors controlling billions, journalists from Forbes and Wall Street Journal, all gathered for the industry's most prestigious evening. My family's table sat front and center, a perk of my mother's committee position. She wore her favorite Oscar de la Renta gown, the one she saved for occasions where photographers would be present. My father's tuxedo was custom Armani. Victoria had flown in from New York, missing depositions to attend what my mother called the networking event of the year. Eleanor! Mrs. Turner, CEO of Turner Hospitality Group, air-kissed my mother. You must be so proud of Victoria. I heard about the Singapore merger. Oh, yes, my mother preened, gesturing to Victoria, following in our footsteps beautifully. She's everything we could have hoped for in a daughter. They had no idea I was standing backstage, watching through the monitors as they worked the room. My mother was telling the Hendersons about Victoria's latest accomplishment when she noticed the program. Her face went pale. There, on the evening's agenda. Special announcement, Marcus Whitmore, CEO. And below it, keynote address, Director Gianna Dixon. There must be a mistake, I heard her tell my father, showing him the program. Gianna Dixon? Common name. But something in her voice wavered. The timeline was too perfect. My cryptic warning about March 15th, the show I'd mentioned. Marcus took the stage for his introduction. My mother was still staring at the program, her fingers gripping it so tightly the paper crinkled. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus began, "tonight, we celebrate not just excellence, but transformation." Marcus commanded the stage with the presence of someone who'd built an empire from nothing. The room fell silent, 500 influential people hanging on his every word. "6 months ago," he began, "I witnessed something remarkable. A crisis that could have cost us millions, handled with such grace and intelligence that it became a $50 million opportunity instead." The screens behind him displayed the Grand Plaza logo, then shifted to footage of our hotels worldwide. The person responsible spoke 4 languages fluently, understood cultural nuances that our Harvard MBAs missed, and transformed an angry CEO into our biggest international partner. My mother was leaning forward now, her expression uncertain. Victoria had her phone out, recording like always. "This individual didn't have the typical pedigree we usually recruit," Marcus continued. "No Wharton MBA, no family connections in hospitality. What they had was something rarer. An intuitive understanding that true luxury isn't about serving wealth, it's about serving humanity." He paused, letting the words sink in. They were working as a hostess, making $65,000 a year, being told daily that they weren't enough, that they were wasting their potential. His voice hardened slightly. The people saying this had no idea what potential really looked like. The camera operator panned across the audience. My mother's face filled one of the screens for a moment. She was smiling tightly, still playing the part of proud committee member. "Tonight, I'm proud to introduce the newest member of our executive team, someone who embodies everything Grand Plaza stands for, someone who understands that excellence isn't inherited, it's earned." The lights dimmed slightly. My heart pounded backstage. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our new Director of Guest Experience. Please welcome Gianna Dixon." The spotlight hit me as I walked from the wings. I'd chosen my outfit carefully, a black Valentino dress that whispered rather than shouted success, grandmother's pearl necklace that my mother had said I didn't deserve yet, and the executive pin Marcus would present to me on stage. The ballroom erupted in applause, then rippled with gasps of recognition. The hostess from the Meridian, Robert Dixon's other daughter, Eleanor's disappointment. But I didn't look at them first. I looked at the cameras, at the journalists, at the CEOs who were now seeing me for who I really was. Then I found my family's table. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the table. The sound echoed in the sudden hush. My father's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Victoria's phone fell from her hands, clattering onto her plate, still recording the tablecloth. I walked with the same poise I'd learned serving their friends, the same grace they'd said was wasted on just a hostess. Marcus met me center stage, pinning the executive badge to my dress with deliberate ceremony. "Director Dixon has already transformed our guest experience metrics by 15% in just 2 weeks, he announced. "She's the reason Yamamoto Corporation chose Grand Plaza for their $50 million expansion into North America." The screens behind us displayed my official portrait, my new title, my office. Then, devastating in its timing, a photo from the Yamamoto dinner. Me speaking with the CEO, while visible in the background, my family sat at their table, oblivious to the deal being made 3 feet away. My mother's face had gone from pale to gray. She knew now. They all knew. I took the podium with the same calm I'd maintained through years of family dinners where I was the punchline. The microphone was clear, my voice steady. "Thank you, Marcus, and thank you to Grand Plaza for seeing what others couldn't." I let my eyes sweep the room, pausing just briefly on my family's table. "Tonight, I want to talk about the true meaning of service." The audience leaned in. My mother sat frozen, her hands clenched in her lap. For 5 years, I served tables at the Meridian. I learned that every person who walks through our doors carries a story, a need, a hope for how they want to feel. True hospitality isn't about impressive titles or prestigious degrees. It's about seeing people, really seeing them. I clicked to my first slide, the new training program I'd developed. That's why I'm launching Grand Plaza's Frontline to Leadership initiative. We'll train 100 frontline workers annually, promoting from within, recognizing that excellence often comes from unexpected places. The room burst into applause. Several CEOs were taking notes. A video message played on the screens. CEO Yamamoto himself. Gianna Dixon understood our needs before we voiced them. She represents the future of international hospitality. Grand Plaza is fortunate to have her. I continued. I learned from serving thousands of guests that respect isn't about the size of the bill or the designer labels. It's about recognizing that every interaction is an opportunity to make someone feel valued. My father's face was purple. Victoria was typing furiously on her phone, probably trying to control the narrative. Tonight, we commit to redefining luxury service, not as subservience, but as expertise, not as hierarchy, but as humanity. The standing ovation started from the back and rolled forward like a wave. The moment I left the stage, my family rushed toward me like heat-seeking missiles. My mother reached me first, her committee badge swinging as she grabbed my arm. "Gianna, how could you not tell us?" Her voice pitched high with desperate confusion. "Tell you?" I gently removed her hand from my arm. "I was disowned, remember? February 28th, 7:43 p.m. You filmed it." "That was just... we were trying to motivate you." My father's attempt at explanation fell flat. I pulled the disownment letter from my portfolio. I'd brought it specifically for this moment. "Your signatures suggest otherwise. Quite clear, actually. Legal quality paper, too." Victoria pushed forward. "You can't do this to family. This is cruel." "Cruel?" I kept my voice professionally modulated, aware of the watching crowd. "Like giving someone disownment papers as a birthday gift while filming their reaction?" "This is different," my mother's voice cracked. "We're your family." "Were," I corrected again. "You made that decision. I simply accepted your terms." Security appeared at my shoulder. Marcus had anticipated this. "Director Dixon, is everything all right?" "These people are causing a disturbance," I said calmly. "They're not on my approved contact list." My mother's gasp was audible. "Gianna, please, people are watching." "Yes, they are." I nodded to the Tribune photographer, who'd captured her being guided away by security. "Your committee badge won't help you here, Mother. This is my venue now." As security escorted them out, I heard my father saying to anyone who'd listen, "There's been a misunderstanding. She's our daughter." "No," I said, loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. "I'm Grand Plaza's director. You made sure I wasn't your daughter anymore." The Chicago Tribune photographer had captured everything. My mother's shocked face, security's intervention, my father's desperate gestures. By morning, the image was front-page news in the business section. "Charity Chair's Shameful Family Secret" ran above the fold. The article detailed the gala disruption, my promotion, and included a quote from an anonymous source about a birthday disownment that backfired spectacularly. My phone showed the immediate fallout. Eleanor Foundation's website crashed from traffic. 3 major donors, Henderson Corp., Mitchell Enterprises, and the Blackwood Trust, released statements reassessing their partnership with the foundation. Combined, they represented 40% of the annual budget. The foundation's emergency board meeting was scheduled for Monday morning. The agenda leaked to media. Vote of no confidence, Eleanor Dixon. Victoria's firm, Baker & Associates, issued an internal memo about maintaining professional standards in personal conduct. She was quietly moved from the Singapore merger to document review. The partnership track she'd worked toward for 7 years? Indefinitely postponed. My father's company saw a 2% stock dip by market close Monday. Thames Corporation's board expressed concerns about leadership judgment and family stability affecting corporate image. The family WhatsApp group imploded. Cousin Jennifer: "This is humiliating. How could you not know?" Uncle Thomas: "We're all being asked about this at our clubs." Aunt Patricia: "My charity luncheon was canceled." They said the association was problematic. Meanwhile, my LinkedIn exploded with congratulations. The Grand Plaza stock rose 3% on news of my hire and the viral positive coverage. Marcus forwarded me an email from the Japanese embassy. We'd like to discuss Director Dixon leading our hospitality training exchange program. The numbers didn't lie. Their cruelty had cost them everything. My dignity had gained me more. Monday, March 18th. 3 days after the gala. The Foundation's board voted unanimously. Eleanor Dixon was removed as chair, effective immediately. The press release cited conduct unbecoming of Foundation values and damage to donor relationships. My mother's resignation letter, leaked within hours, was a masterpiece of forced humility. I take full responsibility for personal matters that have affected the Foundation's reputation. By Tuesday, the dominoes kept falling. She lost her position on the Art Institute board. The Women's Symphony Alliance asked her to take a sabbatical. The University Club revoked her membership pending review. My father faced his own reckoning. Thames Corporation's board strongly suggested early retirement to pursue other interests. The golden parachute was bronze at best, a third of what he'd have gotten in 2 years. Victoria's carefully curated image crumbled on LinkedIn. Her post about family values in business got ratioed with comments about the Disownment video, which someone had leaked. Baker and Associates transferred her to their Cleveland office, a career death sentence for someone who'd built their entire network in Chicago. The extended family distanced themselves like my failure was contagious in reverse. The same relatives who'd laughed at the Disownment video now pretended they'd never received it. Aunt Patricia told everyone she'd left before dessert. Uncle Thomas claimed he'd been appalled but too polite to intervene. My phone showed 53 missed calls from my mother, 41 from my father, 97 texts from Victoria, all blocked by IT at my request. The family estate lawyer called my office. Your parents are asking about modifying the disownment document. Why would I modify a gift? I asked. I've already framed it. My first month's metrics at Grand Plaza exceeded every projection. Guest satisfaction jumped 15%, the highest increase in company history. The secret? I treated every guest the way I'd wanted to be treated by my own family, with genuine respect. The Yamamoto expansion contract closed at $50 million, with CEO Yamamoto insisting I personally oversee the cultural integration program. My language skills and understanding of international business etiquette, things my family dismissed as parlor tricks, were now worth millions. Forbes called on a Tuesday. We're featuring you in our 40 Under 40 Hospitality Leaders issue. Can we discuss your journey from hostess to director? The article ran with the headline, Dixon Proves Experience Trumps Pedigree. They used a photo from the gala, me at the podium, confident and composed, while my family's shocked faces blurred in the background. The penthouse apartment Marcus had included in my package was $8,000 a month if rented normally. 42nd floor, Lake Michigan views, daily housekeeping. I hosted my first dinner party there for my real supporters, David Brennan, Jean-Pierre, the Meridian staff who'd seen my worth when my blood relatives couldn't. My team grew from 25 to 40 people. We launched partnerships with hospitality schools, offering paid internships to students from working-class backgrounds. The Gianna Dixon Fellowship would fund 5 full scholarships annually. The quarterly board meeting brought another surprise. Gianna, your impact has been extraordinary, Marcus announced. Effective immediately, you're promoted to senior director. Your new base is $400,000. My mother would hear about it, of course. Everyone in Chicago's business community would. But she'd have to read about it in the Tribune like everyone else. The reconciliation attempts began almost immediately, each more desperate than the last. An enormous bouquet arrived at my office Monday morning. White orchids, my favorite, that my mother suddenly remembered after years of buying me yellow roses I'm allergic to. The card read, We're so proud of you. Love, Mom and Dad. I had my assistant return them with a note. No longer at this address. My father tried emailing my work account. It had already blocked all Dixon family domains per my security request. The auto reply was professional. This sender is not authorized to contact Director Dixon. Victoria's LinkedIn request sat in pending purgatory. Her message: Gianna, we need to talk. This has gone too far. Family is family. I clicked decline without responding. Tuesday, they showed up at Grand Plaza's lobby. I watched on security monitors as they demanded to see me. "We're her parents," my mother insisted to the guard. "I'm sorry," the guard replied, checking his screen. "You're not on Director Dixon's approved visitor list." "This is ridiculous," my father's voice echoed in the marble lobby. "We're her family." Security Chief Tom approached them. "Sir, ma'am, I need you to leave. Director Dixon's instructions were very clear." They tried twice more that week. Each time, security grew less patient. The third time, Tom mentioned trespassing charges. My mother resorted to mutual acquaintances. Mrs. Henderson called. "Your mother is devastated, Gianna." "She should have thought of that before the disownment papers," I replied. Even Marcus received calls. "Your father offered a significant donation to get a meeting with you," he told me, amused. I told him Grand Plaza doesn't accept bribes. The boundaries were crystal clear. No contact, no exceptions, no reconciliation without accountability, and maybe not even then. 6 months later, September 2024, my life had transformed beyond recognition. The promotion to senior director came with a seat at the executive table, reporting directly to the board. Michael and I had been dating for 3 months. He was a cardiac surgeon at Northwestern Memorial, someone who understood long hours and family disappointments. We'd met at a charity gala, one my mother wasn't invited to anymore. "They really disowned you for being a hostess?" he'd asked on our first date. "Best thing that ever happened to me," I'd replied, meaning it. The Lakeshore Drive condo closing was Tuesday. 28th floor, 3 bedrooms, bought with my own money. No family trust, no parental cosign, just Gianna Dixon on the deed. I'd established the Dixon Hospitality Scholarship. My name, my rules, my money. 5 students from working-class backgrounds would attend hospitality school fully funded. The first recipient was a young woman from the South Side whose parents cleaned offices. She reminded me of myself before I learned to apologize for existing. The family updates came through Chicago's gossip network. My parents were divorcing. 34 years of marriage dissolved in mutual blame. Mother moved to Florida, teaching yoga and finding herself. Father stayed in Chicago but sold the Lincoln Park mansion, couldn't afford it on his reduced retirement. Victoria's solo practice struggled. Without the family name opening doors, she discovered what it meant to earn clients on merit alone. My phone showed 247 unread messages from them, all archived automatically to a folder I'd never open. The best indicator of my growth? I didn't feel vindicated anymore, just free. "Ready for dinner?" Michael asked, arriving at my office. "Always," I said, leaving my director nameplate behind without a second thought. February 28th, 2025. 1 year since the disownment dinner. I sat in my corner office reviewing the announcement. My engagement to Michael, the Paris proposal over New Year's, the June wedding planned for the Grand Plaza's rooftop garden. The 40% raise had pushed my compensation to $560,000. The C-suite track was no longer a possibility but a timeline. 2 years, Marcus promised. My mother had tried one last approach through Mrs. Wellington, her former charity circuit friend. "Eleanor just wants to make amends, dear. She's changed." "That's wonderful for her journey," I'd responded. "I wish her well on it." The industry event was next week, the American Hospitality Awards. My family would be there. Victoria was desperately networking to save her practice. I'd see them across the ballroom, and I'd offer the same professional nod I'd give any stranger. My therapist had helped me understand. Forgiveness didn't require reconciliation. I could release the anger without opening the door. "You've built something remarkable," she noted. "Not in spite of them, but because you finally chose yourself. The disownment letter hung framed in my office, between my Forbes feature and my Northwestern diploma. Visitors always asked about it. It's my freedom certificate, I'd explain. The day my family gave me permission to succeed without them. Some were shocked. Others understood immediately, those who'd also been deemed not enough by people who should have seen everything. Michael understood best. His own family had cut him off for choosing medicine over the family construction business. We're professional orphans, he'd joke, who built better families. He was right. My chosen family, David, Marcus, my team, Michael, they saw me, really saw me. That was worth more than blood ever was. The journey from disowned daughter to senior director had taught me more about success than any MBA could have. Success wasn't about proving my family wrong, it was about proving myself right. I didn't hate them anymore. Hate required energy I preferred to invest elsewhere. They were just people who'd confused bloodline with love, status with worth, control with care. My work had evolved beyond personal vindication. The Professional Orphans Support Group met monthly in Grand Plaza's conference room. 40 members now, all high achievers who'd been told they weren't enough by the people who should have been their cheerleaders. Family isn't who you're born to, I told them. It's who shows up when you're becoming who you're meant to be. The book agent had called again. Your story could help millions, Gianna. From disowned to director. It writes itself. Maybe. But first, I had 5 more scholarships to fund, a wedding to plan, a company to help lead. I thought about my family sometimes, usually triggered by small things. A mother-daughter lunch at nearby tables, sisters shopping together, father-daughter dances at weddings. The ache was there but muted, like an old injury that only hurt when it rained. They'd given me a gift, really. Not the inheritance or connections they'd thought made them valuable, but freedom. Freedom from seeking approval that would never come. Freedom from shrinking to fit their narrow definition of success. Freedom to discover that I was already enough, had always been enough, just never for them. Ready for the board meeting? My assistant asked. I stood, smoothing my dress, wearing my grandmother's pearls that I'd claimed despite my mother saying I hadn't earned them yet. I'd earned everything now, on my own terms. The grapevine in Chicago's elite circles was efficient. By fall 2025, the complete picture of my family's collapse had emerged through whispered country club conversations and LinkedIn updates. My parents' divorce finalized in July. The family fortune, already diminished by my father's forced retirement, split badly. Mother got the Florida condo and half the remaining investments. Father kept the Chicago apartment, a 2-bedroom in Lakeview, a far cry from Lincoln Park luxury. Eleanor Dixon became Eleanor Matthews again, teaching sunrise yoga to retirees in Boca Raton. Her Instagram, which once showcased charity galas and designer goods, now featured meditation quotes and beach sunrises. Finding myself after losing everything, read one caption. The comments were turned off. Robert Dixon consulted part-time for small firms that didn't know his history. His LinkedIn quietly removed Thames Corporation from his current position. His last post, about embracing change, got 12 likes. Victoria's firm officially closed after 8 months. Her last 3 clients left when a competitor shared the disownment video during a pitch, questioning her judgment and family values. She moved to Cleveland permanently, working as a contract attorney for 1/3 of her previous salary. The family WhatsApp group had been deleted. The annual Dixon family reunion was canceled. Not enough people RSVP'd. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd disowned me to protect their image, their status, their precious family reputation. In doing so, they'd destroyed all 3. The disownment letter they'd signed with such certainty had become a suicide note for the Dixon dynasty. They'd cut me out like a cancer, not realizing I was the only healthy tissue left. The letter they gave me became my liberation document, I told Michael over dinner, and their destruction warrant. So here we are. If you're watching this, maybe you're the family disappointment, the one who doesn't fit the mold, the one whose dreams don't match their demands, the one they tolerate at holidays but never celebrate. Your worth isn't determined by their validation. Read that again. I spent 31 years believing I was failing because I didn't fit their definition of success. Turns out, their definition was the failure. Success isn't a title or a tax bracket, it's becoming who you're meant to be, not who they demand you to be. Sometimes, losing toxic people is the only way to win. My family didn't abandon me, they freed me. The disownment letter they crafted to humiliate me became my permission slip to fly. Don't wait for apologies that may never come. Don't shrink yourself to fit in spaces that were never meant for you. Don't let their inability to see your worth convince you it doesn't exist. Create your own family. Mine includes a boss who saw potential where others saw problems, colleagues who became cheerleaders, a partner who loves me without conditions. These people chose me. That matters more than blood ever did. I was disowned at 31. It was the best gift my family ever gave me. They thought they were writing me out of their story. Instead, they freed me to write my own. And this story? It's a bestseller. Your story can be too. You just have to be brave enough to pick up the pen. Set your boundaries. Choose your worth. Build your life. The family you choose is worth more than the family you're born into. Trust me, I'm living proof. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by family approval. Subscribe to hear more stories about triumph over toxic relationships. Drop a comment about your own boundary-setting victories. Let's create a community of support. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is worth more than the family you're born into. See you in the next video.